Thank you very much. I want first to thank the organizers to give us the opportunity to give an overview of the activities in the Netherlands on fostering good research conduct. I want to illustrate 4 topics this morning. I want to talk with you about data management and stewardship. I want to talk with you about transparent assessment procedures at the Research Council, and raising awareness on research integrity. And also finally I want to discuss with you the replication studies pilot we just started. But first, a short overview of the organization. NWO is the Research Council of the Netherlands. It is not only a funder, but it is also research performing organizations, because we have several research institutes, mostly in the field of science. We have a budget of about more than 800 million euros, and for comparison, the budget for universities in the Netherlands for research and for education together is about 4 billion. And we fund about 7,000 full-time equivalents of researchers in the Netherlands, at research institutes, but also at the universities, of course, and the research institutes of the Royal Academy of Sciences. So let's start with responsible data management. We consider good data management as a part of good science. And after a pilot period, we now ask from all our applicants to write down in their proposals a section on data management. And that is because we want to raise awareness by every researcher who is interested in our funding. And then when we grant a proposal, then we ask the applicants to write down a data management plan, and that has to be approved by the organization. The plan is not part of the assessment procedure, so it doesn't influence the actual decision on whether or not a proposal is granted, but it has to be approved by the organization. And because we think it's very important to have a good data management policy, we also found that the cost should be eligible for funding from the organization. And finally, after the research is performed, we think that data should be available according to the FAIR principles. And that, I think, improves transparency in the research, but also reduces waste of research and improves science quality, because other researchers also can use this data for their research. The second topic I want to talk about is the transparent and fair assessment procedures, and we can talk about a lot of topics there, but what is now taking a lot of attention in our organization is that we want to get rid of gender bias in our research proposals. Research procedures. So in general, we strive for equal success rates for female or male researchers. And now we are developing in our organization a training for the members of our assessment committees in order to make them raise awareness for the gender bias and especially unconscious gender bias. There are a lot of tests on this on the internet, and I did it by myself, and I know it is there, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. Gender bias wording is also a topic we are busy, which we take some effort there, because we want to identify gender bias wording in our calls for proposals, for example, and to avoid them in all over our documents. Not related to gender bias is that we also want to contribute to a reduction of the pressure to make a lot of publications for researchers. So we try to avoid to ask full publication lists in our applications. We only ask the researchers to give the most relevant publications. So it is not necessary to have 30 or 40 or 50. You can just write down your 5 most relevant publications. Then the general question on raising awareness in research integrity. So our general policy is to try to prevent integrity issues there and also detect violations of integrity. So in the Netherlands, we all together with the universities and the Academy of Sciences and NWO, we have developed a code of conduct for good scientific practice, which describes what we consider good science and good teaching in research. And it is important to raise awareness among our research community. So we ask in all our applications that the applicant should satisfy with the national code. So the applicant has to really sign for that. And in the grant rules, we require that the research acts in accordance with the code. And in all our progress reports, we ask the researchers to confirm that he or she performed the research following the code of conduct. Of course, there are violations, not so very much, but therefore NWO has its own scientific integrity committee. I think that's important because all our universities and research institutes have their own committees, but NWO is a little bit more independent maybe. It's because it's a very sensitive question to have integrity issues. And one of the speakers this morning said already that it's very sensitive and that there is also a tension against the person who is coming to with the complaint. So NWO is a little bit more farther away from the universities and can handle this more from a farther distance. And of course, when there are cases of violations and they are proven to be violations, then we have a procedure in place how to handle that. The last topic I want to discuss with you is our replication studies. We think it's very important to have an opportunity for researchers to really redo the research. And initially we thought that is very difficult because then you have to fund again the research project. And after discussing with some of our researchers, we concluded that is not really the case. We can just pick the very essential parts of those researchers and then do them, reproduce them with new data or with present data. So that convinced us to try to have a pilot in the Netherlands. So for the coming 3 years, we have a total budget of 3 million euros to invest in these replication studies. And we focus on 2 fields of science in these studies. One field is the social sciences, and the other one is the medical sciences. That is important because I think we can gain a lot in those fields, but also we have limited resources. And we are not interested in every type of replication. We are focusing on what we consider cornerstone research. And cornerstone research is, for example, research that is cited very frequently, and so attracts a lot of scientific attention, or research that is important for policy formation. Research that received a lot of attention in the media, and so the public is interested or maybe believes the outcome and acts according to that. Or for research that has far-reaching consequences in legislation. And the final cornerstone is that we also want to invest in replication studies which play an important role in education of our students. So we are now running our first round. We got a lot of applications. Unfortunately, we can have approximately a success rate of only 10%, so that is a pity, I would say. And the decision of the first round is expected in June, so very, very close. So that was my presentation. I would say thank you for your attention, and it is and it will be work under construction, I think. Thank you.